Hey guys, Jim here once again. Just wanted to give you a little overview on one of my favorite inexpensive daily carry knives, the Mcusta Katana. This thing is really a cool little knife. The issue right now is trying to find one, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. First, let's get a few of the specifications out of the way first. You're looking at about 7.5 inches overall, so it's not a really huge knife. The blade itself is going to be 3¼ inch, and the blade itself is actually Sanmai-clad Damascus with a VG-10 core blade. This thing is sharpened to an absolute razor's edge. It's actually kind of scary sharp is what it is. You got a liner lock built in. It's a machined aluminum frame where they actually do 2 different colors on each one. On my particular version, it's the all black, and then the second anodization is the blue underneath. And they claim that they have a Rockwell hardness on this blade of 59 to 61 Rockwell. That's actually pretty impressive too, especially when you start considering the price that they charge for it. It's really super lightweight. It's about 3.4 ounces. Not going to be a cumbersome kind of pocket knife. And that's again because of the aluminum handles. As far as impressions on the look, everybody that sees this, when I pull this knife out, when I've done photography on it, whatever the situation is, people just love it. And I got to tell you, when I first saw it online, and again, I guess I bought this about 3 years ago. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. You know, I'm not big into, fixed blade knives or swords or anything like that, but the whole inspiration of a samurai sword really kind of sung to me. And that was pretty much what drew me in, plus getting into such a unique blade. Look at that thing. It's just wicked cool looking. And sometimes you're just going to buy based off that. It's not always going to be about the quality of the steel or the intricate manufacturing. Sometimes you're just going to buy a knife because it's got a cool factor to it. You just think it looks cool. So again, they're using all aluminum handles here. I like the fact that they're using the standoffs. I prefer standoffs over a backspacer. I've mentioned this in pretty much every video. But I mean, if you're carrying your knife a lot, you're going to get gunk in there, even just something as slight as pocket lint. And it's a lot easier to just kind of blow that stuff out. Maybe take a paper towel, fold it up, kind of brush things out, push things out, and then, use a compressed air can and pull the rest of it out. Quick size comparison to knives that are more commonly seen, perhaps. I'll go to the old standard, the old standby for me, which is a small Sebenza. Anybody that's watched more than one of my videos knows that that's pretty much what I always reach for, because I think almost everybody has had a chance to, if they don't own it, have at least had a chance to handle a Sebenza. If not something else that's very common, the Kershaw Leek. It's just a little bit bigger than the small Sebenza, and I mean just fractions of a hair bigger than the Rainbow Leek. So it's a very easy knife to carry. Let's give you a thickness comparison. As you see, it is quite a bit thicker. Not a huge amount, but it certainly is thicker. And one of the things that I love about that is the way that it feels in the hand is you'll notice they've actually beveled it. So it's actually swelling outwards. So when you've got this in the hand, it kind of fills in your hand a little bit more than something like the Sebenza or the Leek does, because they're very, very flat, very one-dimensional. I like the little grooves here. There's no tactility to them. They're not going to be used for any additional grip, but they sure as hell look cool. The fit in the hand for me is nice. It's very slick because it's aluminum. It's a little bit short. It almost seems like I'm working to keep all 4 fingers on there. But overall, it's not bad. It's certainly not a combat knife. This is not what I would consider a tactical knife by any stretch of the imagination. But this is definitely a good everyday pocket carry. If the need were to arise that you had to defend your life, yeah, you most certainly could. This has got a really strong, super sharp blade. The contours of the handle are nice. As you see, it's just got a little bit of a bowing across the back. You've got a little bit of a thumb ramp here. Again, no jimping. This is almost more of, I guess, what the Japanese might consider to be their version of a gentleman's folder. It's very slim, very small, very lightweight. Everything is smooth to the touch. Everything has a bit more of an elegance to it, more than a tactical purpose. So, yeah, sure, if I were designing the knife, I would rather have some jimping on the back of that ramp there. I would make a bigger choil here so that you can actually grab into it and grip into it. This is the kind of knife that, yeah, there's some slickness there. So if I had to stab into something that were really tough, you know, yeah, my hand could absolutely go up and slide up the blade. And that's something I don't think anybody wants. The quality of the knife, for the money spent, and again, we're talking about a knife that sells for about $120 to $135, depending on where you're shopping. Now, the trick to that is nobody has them in stock. When I bought mine, they were pretty much everywhere. When I started talking to some of my online friends about this knife this year, some of the ones that were just really kind of getting into knives for the first time, I said, this is one you've got to search out. It looks cool, it feels great, it's easy to carry, it's lightweight, it's not cumbersome or burdensome in any way. And they said, okay, great, where can I buy it? So I go through all of my dealer bookmarks and I'm looking everywhere. And then I realized everybody's on back order. Back order from Mcusta. And they have no idea when they're going to get them. And we're running on like 6 months now since I've seen any place list them. I have caught a couple in the violet blue that has the purple swedges. Turned a few friends onto those. They picked those up. And they also make a, I want to say it's a purple with a like a mustard yellow, mustardy orangey yellow running through there. And those are a little bit more available. But the black and blue simply cannot be found. I mean, I don't care where you're going. Maybe every now and then you'll probably find one pop up on eBay. We all know that. eBay is, you know, when you think you can't find something, you go to eBay and that's where it's going to turn up. So for the money spent, the quality feel is kind of unreal. They did a really great job. Nice centering on that blade. Good quality steel. And I don't think I have a piece of paper within, yeah, actually I do, within reach. This is something I really don't ever do, but let's just give you an idea of how sharp this thing is. It takes no effort to get the point through something. Very, very sharp. And the test I always do to really see sharpness, if you could take a piece of paper and just push down with the weight of the blade. And yeah, it's not as sharp as I thought it was now. Oh, there we go. Oh, a little bit of a rip, and tear. But standard, cutting the edge. Looks like it could actually use a little bit of sharpening. Again, I've had this for a few years, so I think that's pretty darn impressive for, again, for the money that you're spending. Yeah, that's not too bad. Lay that back down there for one quick second. Give you kind of a nice overall look of it. I like the blade profile. I'm very much a Tanto guy myself, more so than anything else. I like that overall profile. I'm noticing now as I'm starting to do these videos that I have a number of Tanto style blades that are actually leaning much further outward into more of an elongated Tanto instead of being more truncated, like say like a Strider or something, or a Cold Steel. So that's kind of the idea here, is to go into that Japanese samurai sword look. They've certainly accomplished that. Again, I would wish for a little bit more grippiness to this material, some jimping or something just to kind of aid with how slippery it is in the hands. The other big thing for me is I do not like tip down carry. And that is the only way this is manufactured. And the way they built this, there's no way to replace this clip. It is the way that it is. It's also, as you see, a very deep writing clip. So it's going to go for deep concealment. I haven't found it to be an issue drawing it out. I guess maybe because your thumb is kind of catching on the edge of the cutout for the pivot. So it's a little bit easier to grab onto it. Some of the things that I absolutely love, the way they anodize this. This is like a satin black. It's beautiful to look at, and it feels just glass smooth. And I love the blue. It's a really, really rich blue. And anytime you anodize, you get that iridescence, that brightness, that almost neon look. And not only do they do it in these notches, but if you notice here around the pivot, very nice detail how they've done that. They obviously didn't need to. They spent a little bit of extra time thinking about that. Here around the lanyard hole, on both sides. The hardware they're using, it's fairly basic. They're not doing anything particularly special here. I think that's a Torx head. Standard slotted screwdriver for the pivot. This one needed absolutely no adjustment. It flicks out. I mean, this thing is fast. It's buttery smooth. They're actually using Teflon washer system in the pivot, and that's what gives you that incredible smoothness. I mean, this is, when you open it, when you're feeling it, if your eyes were closed and you knew nothing else about this, and you were just sliding it open, you would think you were opening a several $100 custom-made knife with how just silky smooth that operation is. The thumb stud is easy to access. It's a nice wide thumb stud, and they do a double stud on here. I've never tried opening it left-handed. Oh, actually, that's not difficult in any way. So if you happen to be left-handed, this would also be a good choice for you. It's a nice ambidextrous choice. In my opinion, if you can find one of these, and I'm sure that the supply and demand issue is going to be over with soon, as they finally get them shipped back out, and they'll probably be readily available as they used to be. There was nothing particularly special about them. They weren't a limited edition, and I was unaware of them being a limited run. So when they're available again, I would put pretty much anybody into this knife. It's a super high quality knife. Really nice blade. It's something that's going to be unique in your collection. I mean, look how many guys spent the insane money, Microtech collectors, when they did the Katana series in the Ultratechs to get this style of blade. And actually, it wasn't really this style. They actually did acid etching to create the look that they did. But everybody went nuts, and that was just simply an embellishment on the blade to make it look like this, what the functionality is of this particular blade. I like the fact that it's lightweight. There are days you're not going to be wearing jeans. You're not going to be wearing any kind of tough, heavy work pants with a belt. Maybe you're just going to run out of the house in a pair of flip-flops, a pair of shorts, and a t-shirt. This is something super lightweight in the pocket. It's not going to be dragging you down. Your wallet's going to be more heavy than this is. Your cell phone is going to be heavier than this thing is. So as far as practicality, it's got it in spades. A knife isn't going to do you any good if you never want to carry it. If it's a certain lightweightness, if it's a certain size, you're more likely to carry it than not, then it's going to be there for you when you actually need it. As far as a comparison to any other knives in its price range, I mean, certainly you're in that Benchmade, Spyderco, Cold Steel kind of arena in that low to mid level. And yeah, I mean, there are some Spydercos that I would say are better quality, that are overall maybe more ruggedly built or more in line for a for a tactical style of knife. But for an everyday, almost gentleman's folder, I don't know of too many knives in this price range that would really compete with it. Super sharp, nice quality, nice finish work on the blade. Kind of a satin finish. It's obviously not a hand rub satin, but kind of a satin finish to it. The finish work, the fit and finish on the knife really is amazing for the money that you're spending. I don't know if this is titanium. I would expect that it's not. I'm going to say that it's probably stainless steel. There is your lockup. Nice and solid, but you see there's no binding whatsoever. They really built it nicely. Easy to carry, fun to play with. I've probably flipped this knife a million times. I absolutely love playing with it. So, as far as the everyday carry practicality, I think this absolutely has it. Aside from, carrying a tactical style knife, this is going to do everything that you would do in your normal everyday life. If you work in an office and you're cutting open envelopes or cutting open boxes, maybe you're working in a warehouse and you're cutting straps, you're cutting whatever. Normal everyday cutting tasks, absolutely going to live up to what you need. As far as the overall presentation, I think when people see it, there's a little bit of a wow factor, and that's something that gives you obviously some pride of ownership. It's a conversation piece. It's a conversation piece you didn't have to spend $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 to get a hold of. Would I rather carry something like this, my Tim Zawada Spyderco? This has actually seen a lot more pocket time. I think it's a little bit more practical in some ways. But, I mean, really, take a good look at this side by side. Almost identical in size, in their width, in their thickness, in, honestly, the Mcusta's lighter weight now that the Mcusta's a little bit lighter in weight. This is one that costs a lot more money than the Mcusta. I mean, sure, you're paying for the carbon fiber and you're paying for the, the name because of the collaboration with Tim Zawada. They hadn't done a collaboration since the 1980s. So, to get into that, sure, you're paying a little bit extra. I would probably say, even though this has been carried more often, now that I really kind of do a side-by-side comparison, I don't see that $50, $75 difference in between them, except for maybe the cost of the materials in that carbon fiber. Yes, aluminum costs a lot less. Yes, it's a lot less challenging to work with and to color, to do the anodization. So I think overall, it's a great knife for the money. It's not an amazing knife. It's not one that I would go gaga over, but it's also not one I'm ever looking forward to getting rid of. So I guess that kind of proves my point that it was worth buying. It was worth keeping for the years that I've had it. And I don't see any reason that I'd want to get rid of it anytime in the near future. Sure, if I'm on a grail hunt and I'm selling a few knives and this puts me an extra $100 closer to something I feel that I have to have and I have to jump on right then and I can't let get away, maybe in that case. But I can tell you one thing, once I found these available again, I'd buy another one in a heartbeat. So anyway, that was a kind of a long-winded overview of the Mcusta Katana. I think it's worth the money. I think it's worth your time. If you're dealing with an online retailer that has a good return policy, that you feel confident in ordering something, and if you don't like it, you can send it back, try it out. Obviously, if you live close to a dealer that carries this type of knife, go search them out. Put one in your hand, get a feel for it, and get a look at that beautiful blade, because I think you might just fall in love with it. All right, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to throw them down below, and I'll do my best to keep up with them. Thanks.